The Montreal Canadiens are shocking everyone as they're in a tight race for a playoff spot. How did they get to this point? Will they keep it up? And what is Kent Hughes' plans for the trade deadline? We'll break it all down for you guys coming up on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before we get into it, we gotta say that 91% of you guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel, so if you want to stay up on everything Habs, everything NHL related going into trade deadline, make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button. But Mark, with that said, I mean, nobody expected the Montreal Canadiens to be this in a playoff hunt at this point in the season. I mean, if you had to tell me that 40 odd games into the season, we'd be talking about Montreal potentially making the playoffs, I would obviously be jumping off the walls because I'd be so excited, but I wouldn't believe you. But as we look at the leaderboard right now, they're in 5th in the Atlantic, and the Atlantic race right now is so tight. There's 2-3 points between about 5 teams here on this leaderboard, and Montreal's after knocking off some tough competition here recently. They're after beating Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Washington Capitals, some of the top teams in the league. And this little run that they've been on has put them 9th in the East and just a couple points outside of a playoff spot to where they could make the playoffs this season, which is absolutely ridiculous to think about, but it has all been on the back of the captain Nick Suzuki, and some more players we're going to talk about in this video. But Nick Suzuki has been on an absolute tear for this team. He has 43 points, 13 goals, 30 assists, over a point per game on 42 games this season, and has really been that guy when they need a goal, when they need a play to happen. Nick Suzuki is going to be the guy there to make a play happen, especially in overtime. After his overtime winner just the other night, he is tied now first in overtime winning goals with Leon Draisaitl with 4 on the season. But Mark, Nick Suzuki has been a demon this season. How are you liking Nick Suzuki's play for the Habs?
Just before we get into Nick Suzuki, I think we deserve to give the flowers to Kent Hughes, Marty St. Louis, and the coaching staff for really building this team to the point where we're seeing them fight for a playoff spot. We've seen Marty really shuffle these lines up. Things seem to be working for almost every player. Ken Hughes has done an incredible job adding talent to this, adding supporting cast to these star players like Nick Suzuki. We see Nick Suzuki come in and being one of the best two-way players in the NHL, but he's really hit that second tier of his offensive game, going out, producing on every night for this guy. He's looking like a light version of Patrice Bergeron at such a young age. And we've seen how much success the Boston Bruins, which we're not going to talk about, but how much success they had having a guy like Bergeron. Suzuki has looked outstanding, and I do really like the way that Marty's really deploying all these lines to help better not only Suzuki, but everyone else around him as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, the players are one half of the puzzle here. The other half is Marty and the front office figuring it out and putting the best team on the ice, which they have done this season. I think the biggest factor into the Montreal Canadiens' success is, yes, Marty switching up the lines and stuff like that, but it is the young mentality of this group that we've talked about here with multiple teams on this channel, is that, you know, they're a young team. Yes, they do have some veterans there, but these are a group of guys who nobody expected Montreal to be in the middle of the table at this point in the season, but they're just taking all the expectations out the window and just broke through that glass ceiling to where they're in the talks of people saying, is Montreal really going to make the playoffs this season? We didn't think it was going to come for another couple of years, but it is looking like that it is going to happen right now, which I would love to see, obviously. But there's another guy here on this team other than Nick Suzuki who he's the guy that we talk about a lot here, and that's Cole Caulfield. Cole Caulfield has had a tremendous season. He has 23 goals in 42 games this season. Right now, that would put him on like a 40-odd goal pace by the end of the season. Can he hit 50? I really hope so. But he has 40 points, 23 goals, 17 assists like we mentioned. Cole Caulfield has been that guy when Patrick Laine has been out of the lineup who has really picked up the goal scoring. And this season, he's really found his momentum, I think. I think when he gets in his spot this season, he's making some shots happen that we've never seen go in for Cole Caulfield before. I think his shot has dramatically increased, even though it was already a fantastic shot. He has somehow developed it even better, and just having a guy like this on Montreal that we haven't had, a pure goal scorer, is definitely great for this team.
And I think this once again goes back to St. Louis to really putting them in situations to thrive as a goal scorer. We'll touch on Line A later, but it seems like both of these guys are really in their groove on lighting the lamp and just going out and producing for this team. It might not be the best two-way player like Nick Suzuki, but having an elite goal scorer, the Washington Capitals, and I'm not going to say Nick Suzuki is Ovi, but looking at that, you need that number one goal scorer on the team. And it really feels like the Montreal Canadiens have two of these guys, and it shows how much success that can have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you said it best. I mean, we've been waiting for a pure goal scorer to come in Montreal for so long, and it seemed like we had that with Cole Caulfield, and we do. But we also have Patrick Laine, who we traded for before the season, who, in his small game sample size, has 9 goals and has looked really good since he's been out there. I mean, he laid a big hit last night against the Dallas Stars, so I'm really impressed by his play so far, and just the whole team. I think the whole team's dynamic this season, it's a different team. Like, Jake Evans has really popped off for this team. He's got, I think he's 4th in team points this season. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but this guy is one of the best two-way centers in the league, and people keep saying we should trade him at the deadline. No, we do not need to trade Jake Evans. This guy is the Philip Deneau, but on another level. I think we got to keep this guy around if Montreal wants to make this push for the playoffs. And another reason why Montreal's playing so good, Mark, is the rookie, Lane Hutson. Lane Hutson right now is 3rd in overall puck possession time, just under Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. So that shows how much faith that this team has in Lane, carrying the puck, making plays from the blue line, where he's now ranking 3rd in the league in puck possession time, and he's doing that very effectively. He's got 32 points so far in 42 games, 29 assists. It took him a bit of time to find the back of the net, but since then, he has 3 goals and has been just exceptional for this team. We've never seen a defenseman like this in Montreal, and it's just so great to see a guy who can slip down the boards and just evade hits like it's nothing and just find open passes across the ice. He has such good vision, such good passing, and just such good deking from that blue line that I think this guy it's his first season now we're seeing him be this successful. As he moves on throughout his career, he is just going to be lethal back there for the Montreal Canadiens. And so far, he is tied for 7th in defenseman points with the 32 that he does have on the season, but it does put him at top of the Calder race with 32 points, 2 ahead of Matvei Michkov. I mean, Mark, Lane Hutson, a lot of people before this season said he's too small, he's not going to translate into this season or into the NHL, but he's really defying the odds right now.
I mean, looking at Lane, he's been a prodigy coming out of Boston University to do an awesome job developing guys. We've seen Charlie McAvoy come out of the system. Matt Grzelcyk came out of the system, and Lane has came in and jumped straight into this league and legitimately looks like a number 1 defenseman on the Montreal Canadiens. If you're on any list with Hughes and Makar, these are the 2 finalists for the Norris last year. We've seen Makar win multiple Norris. Being on a list with 2 of these players is underrated in the fact that you're with elite of elite. These are the 2 best defensemen in the NHL. I will put Quinn Hughes number 1, Cale Makar number 2, and just being on a list with these 2 players does show how much hope, puck moving, everything Lane brings to this team. And he's only, 20 years old in his first year as a rookie. His future looks great for the Montreal Canadiens, and I think he does have a chance to move in and be that number 1 just defenseman, quarterback on the power play, everything in between for this team.
Yeah, I haven't seen a defenseman like him in Montreal since PK Subban, and I would even go argue the fact that he will be better than PK Subban. Just the way he's playing right now, it's his first season. He still has a lot to learn, and it's just so great to see him have such success after so many people doubted him at the beginning of the season. But Mark, before we wrap it up, we got the trade deadline coming up, and the Montreal Canadiens are in a weird spot right now. Usually, they may kind of be out of the playoff race at this point in the season, where they're saying, hey, we're going to sell our guys like Savard, Josh Anderson, all these veterans. But at this point, they're on a little run. They're beating the best teams in the league. Can you see Kent Hughes shopping at the deadline instead of selling?
I think it's going to really come down to the position they're in. If they go on a slide or if another team goes on a 10-game winning streak and they really fall out of the picture, no, I can't see them doing it. There's another just kind of look at it of we've seen Mackenzie Blackwood with the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks said we don't want to move Blackwood, but the offer was too good. If you have a team call and say, hey, we'll give you a first round pick and a B level prospect for someone like David Savard, you almost need to take this to build for your future. But it does come down to if they have a number one wildcard spot, if they somehow slide into a non wildcard spot into the playoffs, I think we could see the Montreal Canadiens go out, maybe pick up a guy or two. We've seen them pick up Patty Laine. So maybe they go out, pick up a guy that can kind of help right now and for the future. But I don't see them being a team that's going to go out and say, hey, we're going to give up this prospect and this pick to get a rental. I think they're going to look at this of a, hey, if we can get a young 24, 25-year-old guy that can come in, help right now, but also help in 3 years when our window really starts to open, yes, I could see them buying at that point.
Yeah, I can see them doing the exact same thing. I think they will go out, get an established NHLer in his early to mid-20s who still has some potential to grow with this young team, and I can't see him going out getting a 30-odd-year-old player to kind of go for a playoff push. They're just going to build for the future, because if they're doing this right now, in a couple of years' time when they have Reinbacher up, they have Hudson with a couple of years' experience, they have Jacob Fowler making his debut in the NHL, this team is going to be unstoppable, and I can't wait to see how the rest of the season goes and how the future of the Montreal Canadiens is going to hold up. We want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. If you're Kent Hughes, what are you doing at the deadline? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. We just hit 9,000 subscribers yesterday, Mark. Oh my god, I can't believe that. We're almost at 10K. So if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, you want to help us get to our 10K goal, we'd really appreciate it. And if you want to check out a video we did the other day, it'll be popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, KC, alongside my co-host, Mark Pye. We'll catch you in the next one.